Hi everybody, it's Mr. H, and today I'm going to read you a book. I might not get through the whole thing, but it's called Brrr. It's about coldness, it's also about polar animals. So animals that live like in the North and South Pole where it's really cold. So we're going to start off. Lands of ice and snow. And it shows some of the birds and animals of this region. When you're at the very top of the planet Earth, you're near the North Pole. This region is called the Arctic. It's one of the coldest places on Earth. Everything is covered with snow and ice. Brrr. The North Pole is in the middle of the Arctic Ocean, but you'd never know it. That's because you can't see the water. It is hidden under a thick layer of solid ice. Polar bears, Arctic foxes, and many other animals live around the North Pole. When you're at the very bottom of the planet Earth, you're near the South Pole. This region is called the Antarctic. Ice and snow are everywhere. It's even colder than in the Arctic. Brrr. Penguins and some other animals live around the South Pole. The South Pole is not in the middle of an ocean. It's in the middle of a vast area of land. But you can't see rocks or soil. That's because the ground is buried under a thick layer of ice. In some places, the ice is 2 miles deep. Woo! That's really deep, guys. Many different kinds of animals lived on the land near the poles. But here's a surprise. Even more animals live in polar seas than live on polar lands. Ooh. Chapter 2, Life in the Seas. Now we're talking about the seas of the area. Life in the seas. The icy waters around the poles are filled with living creatures. The most common are tiny animals called krill. They look like little shrimp drifting in the water. Nearly every animal that swims in the polar seas feeds on krill. Krill are these little tiny shrimp that are in this guy's hand right here. That's the food of a lot of different animals. Whales are the biggest of all sea animals. Many of them eat krill. Humpback whales are giant krill eaters. They visit the Arctic and Antarctic every spring. The humpback is like other whales that feast on krill. It does not have teeth. Instead, it has long, thin strips of baleen. The baleen hangs from its upper jaw like a monster-sized comb. When feeding, the humpback gulps huge mouthfuls of water. The water is loaded with krill. The whale squeezes the water out through the baleen. The baleen acts as a huge strainer. It traps the krill, which the whale will then swallow. Did you know that some big whales fill their stomachs with 4 tons of krill each day? This shows a picture of the baleen right here in a whale's mouth. That helps filter out all that water and keep the food in. Narwhals are whales that live in the Arctic all year long, but these whales don't have baleen. Most have 2 teeth. In females, the teeth hardly ever poke out of the gums, but in males, 1 tooth is very long. It sticks out through the front of the narwhal's head. The big tooth is called a tusk. Narwhals feed on fish, squid, and shrimp, but they do not use their teeth for feeding. Narwhals suck in their food from the water. No one is sure how the male narwhal uses its tusk. Once people thought it was used as a spear or digging tool. Today, most people think that male narwhals use the tusk to fight other males. One thing is sure, the male does not use its tusk for chewing. Large groups of squid swim in polar waters. A squid is like an octopus, but instead of 8 arms, the squid has 10 arms coming from its large head. They use their strong arms to catch small fish. Dozens of strange and unusual fish live in the water around the poles. Many have big eyes and big mouths. Most dine on krill. That's a squid right there. Kind of looks like an octopus, and these are its 10 legs. Oh, and that's the narwhal. Sorry, the narwhal with his long tusk. It's almost like a horn off of a buffalo or an animal that has long things like that. But who knows what they use it for? We're not positive. Some fish have remarkable ways to keep from freezing in the very cold water. The ice fish and Antarctic cod are two good examples. Both have something in their blood that stops it from turning to ice. The substance is like the antifreeze in a car radiator. It keeps the water from freezing. Millions of seals live in polar waters too. Ring seals are one kind of seal. They are found only in the Arctic. Weddell seals only live in Antarctic. Seals feed mostly on krill and fish, just like whales. Seals swim under the thick polar ice, but they breathe air, so they need to come up for air every few minutes. Can you guess how they do this? That's some of the fish, one of the cod, and then here's some of the seals here. How do we think the seal comes up to get air? Seals break breathing holes in the ice. Some chip a hole in the ice with their teeth. Others scrape away with the ice with their flippers. A few knock openings in the ice with their heads. Whack! Whack! Every seal has a thick, heavy coat of fur. The fur keeps the seal warm in the icy water. It also keeps the seal's skin dry. Under its skin, the seal has a very thick layer of fat called blubber. In some seals, the blubber is as thick as 3 big telephone books. Really keeps it warm. Ring seals are the world's smallest seals. Many of them swim under the thick Arctic ice. These seals are the favorite food of the biggest meat eaters in the world, polar bears. There's a couple of the seals. And this is the little tiny ringed seal. Chapter 3, Polar Bears and Arctic Foxes. Polar bears live only in the Arctic. They usually stay on the same ice, and they hunt the food they like best, seals. A polar bear may wait up to 4 hours at a seal's breathing hole. When a seal comes up for air, wham! The bear smacks the seal with its powerful paw. Then the bear reaches into the water and hauls out its dinner. After a meal like this, a polar bear can go without food for about 5 days. Polar bears are well fit for the life in the Arctic. Their creamy white coats make them hard to see against the ice and snow. This camouflage helps them sneak up on the seals. Heavy fur and a thick layer of fat under their skin keeps the bears warm. Sharp claws and fur on the soles of their feet also help. They let bears walk on ice without slipping. Here's some of the polar bears. During the cold winter months, polar bears dig dens in the deep snow. Here, the female bears give birth to tiny cubs. The cubs are much smaller than human babies. Female polar bears care for their cubs for about 2 years. They teach the cubs how to hunt and find food. Polar bear cubs grow very fast. In just a few years, they can be 10 feet long. Many weigh nearly 1,500 pounds. They're huge animals. Arctic foxes often tag along after polar bears. The foxes feed on scraps left over from the polar bears' meals. Foxes also hunt snowshoe hares and Arctic hares. Arctic foxes change their color throughout the year. During the winter, their fur is white. It blends in with the ice and snow that cover the Arctic. In the summer, their coats turn brown or gray. Then they're hard to spot against the soil that peeks through the melting snow. When winter returns, the color of their fur changes back to white. That's an Arctic fox. That white coat helps it stay camouflaged. Penguins and other birds. Penguins lived on the ice of the Antarctic. They have wings, yet they can't fly. But the penguins are terrific swimmers and divers. They plunge into the icy ocean to catch their meals of fish, squid, and krill. Some can stay underwater for up to 6 minutes. After a long dive, penguins shoot up out of the water. They look like rockets being launched. The birds gulp a quick breath of air, then they splash back down into the water. That's a penguin jumping off of a cliff. Sometimes the penguins leap into the ice. Once there, penguins are slow and clumsy walkers, but they have a way to move quickly. They drop onto their bellies and push themselves forward with the feet and flippers. Zoom! Away they go, sliding across the ice like a sleigh. The biggest penguins of all are the emperor penguins. They are about as tall and heavy as third graders. Like other penguins, they spend most of their time diving for food. When it is time to nest, they jump out of the water and plop onto the ice. That's one jumping out of the water right there, getting up onto the ice. Each female lays a single egg on the ice. Then she heads back to the water. Her mate rolls the egg onto his feet and covers it with a flap of skin. Then he joins other males in a large circle. They huddle together to keep warm. The males keep the eggs on their feet for a couple of months. During that time, they do not eat. They lose about half their weight. Finally, the eggs hatch and the chicks are born. By now, the females are back. They take over the care of the chicks. The males march off to the ocean. There, they fill their empty stomachs with food. In a few weeks, the males return with food. Now both parents feed and protect their chicks. 6 months later, the offspring are fully grown. Off they go. They're big enough to care for themselves. There's some pictures of the penguins. So, that's a little story about some polar animals and how they live and work and deal with the cold weather in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. Again, just a little ESS lesson for you. Sometimes we don't do exercise. Sometimes we just maybe hear a story. And today we talked about some of the polar animals, and you learned a little bit of differences about the Arctic and the Antarctic, North Pole, South Pole. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you next time on another H&R Block. Have a great day. Thank you, Salem Middle School. See ya.